Hello everyone. In 1853, a fleet of 4 modern warships equipped with powerful cannons, commanded by Officer Matthew Perry, entered Tokyo Bay, the largest port in Japan. He made a demand: open up, provide food, fuel, and trade with the United States. Otherwise, there will be consequences. At that time, Japan was a potential market, with a population of 30 million, the world's 9th largest economy, and prosperous agriculture and handicraft industries. Especially, Japan possessed 2 abundant resources: copper and timber, the essentials for building warships. That made Western powers covetous. However, they were hesitant to make a move because Japan had a strong military, equipped with some weapons that were on par with Europe's. Getting back to the point, in the face of the threat from Officer Matthew Perry, the Japanese agreed to allow foreign ships to dock. Following the footsteps of the United States, the powerful nations of Britain, France, the Netherlands, and Russia also demanded similar rights. They forced Japan to sign unequal treaties. Firstly, they had to open up all 6 ports for foreign trade. Secondly, they were not allowed to impose taxes on goods exchanged. Thirdly, foreign citizens who committed crimes in Japan would not be tried under Japanese law but would be tried at the consulate court. This situation made most cases of rape, assault, or other crimes committed by foreigners treated leniently. Recognizing the potential danger, the Japanese knew that if they did not give in, they would suffer consequences. If they gave in, they would eventually be colonized. In 1868, Emperor Meiji ascended to the throne at the age of 16, supported by pragmatic politicians who understood the times. Through the slogan "Enrich the country, strengthen the military," they tried every means to create a prosperous nation capable of standing on equal footing with Western powers. A series of progressive reforms were implemented at that time. Firstly, the shogunate regime, held by an absolute general, was abolished and replaced by a constitutional monarchy modeled after Prussia and Germany. According to this, the emperor was an influential ruler, but most of the power was given to the national diet, including the House of Peers and the House of Representatives. This means that from very early on, Japan had a rudimentary structure of a Western-style democratic regime. Many important policies were consulted by talented people, not by an individual who claimed to be knowledgeable. Secondly, a capitalist economy, meaning private ownership, was applied. People had the right to own, buy and sell land, conduct their own businesses, and pay taxes to contribute to the country's wealth and increase the government's budget. In the industrial sector, the state used money to invest in building large-scale factories, using advanced Western techniques as a model. They did this by importing technology and inviting the best foreign experts to work. After successfully building prototype factories, the state would transfer ownership to private individuals at a low price. From there, they could develop and expand more facilities. At the same time, the government also established a separate fund to sponsor and encourage private business. In addition, they actively built infrastructure, roads, bridges, ports, and communication systems to facilitate trade. In addition, the government also unified the currency by using the yen for common exchange, as well as establishing a banking system modeled after the United States. All of these helped Japan during Emperor Meiji's reign become one of the fastest developing and industrializing countries in history. Thirdly, in terms of national defense, the government also used money to buy new weapon production technology from Western merchants and diplomats. By applying industrialism, which meant putting everything into factories to increase production rapidly, the Japanese military quickly caught up with Europe. They also copied training techniques and applied mandatory military service laws to increase regular serving forces. Nearly 3 decades later, Japan's power was demonstrated by its victory over China from 1894 to 1895 and Russia from 1904 to 1905. They became famous worldwide, and the West had to be wary of them. This was Japan's first rise, but they ultimately lost in World War II to the Allied forces. From 1945 to 1952, Japan was under U.S. occupation, with the aim of preventing Tokyo from rearming and increasing their influence in the region. Initially, the Americans even intended to eliminate large influential political groups as well as big-scale factories that formed the economic foundation to prevent Japan from having a chance to re-establish its military. However, the US later realized that occupying a poor country would not be beneficial, as the enormous cost of maintaining the military would have to be taken from the homeland, which was too expensive. Instead, they thought of helping Japan to rebuild, so they would have money to support their army and also provide a new market for American goods. This was a good idea. In addition, the tensions during the Cold War with the Soviet Union made the US gradually view Japan as an ally rather than an occupied enemy, and eventually granted them independence in 1952. Since changing his thinking, General MacArthur was ordered to rebuild Japan. About $18 billion was pumped into Tokyo to help Japan's economy recover quickly. This is how the Americans put it. In reality, this figure is insignificant compared to the cost of maintaining an occupying army. Tokyo's economy basically only suffered damage but did not lose its foundation. Japan remained a powerful country, ranked 8th or 9th, on par with Europe. Since the US granted them independence come to 1970s, Japan entered a period of breakthrough growth known as the economic miracle. There were many factors that contributed to this, such as most of the population being of working age, having high-level professional skills, having a progressive spirit, being hardworking, thrifty, eager to learn, and many other factors. In fact, these things had existed since before World War II, so we don't need to mention them. The most important factor was the US. They exported the most advanced technologies of the West to Japan, including machinery, automobiles, electronics, aerospace, chemicals, and more. All of these industries were already present in Tokyo, and the Americans helped elevate them to a new level. However, Japan continued to revise and improve until the quality of their products surpassed even the original American ones. Tokyo's engineers were very talented, having previously built an aircraft carrier in 1922. We can understand their level of expertise. After the products reached the level of the world's top, Japan's goods were supported by the US to access the Washington market as well as all of Europe. Japan lowered the yen to reduce export costs, similar to China today. From then on, wherever people went, they saw "Made in Japan." Japan's economy exploded and soared very strongly. Initially, the US was happy that their ally was wealthy, contributing to their global power. However, by 1985, Japan's GDP on a purchasing power parity basis reached $2.812 billion, only $100 billion less than the US. Many of Japan's large corporations bought companies and real estate in Washington. US lawmakers began to realize the instability. Their position as the #1 economic superpower was about to be defeated. They accused Japanese companies of stealing American intellectual property and taking advantage of unfair trade deals. In reality, the strong always win, and there is no fairness in it. To prevent Japan from rising to the #1 position, the US implemented a series of tough measures. Among them was imposing a 100% tariff on exports worth $300 million from Japan. Japan was forced to open up, allowing US companies to enter the market with favorable incentives to access Tokyo customers. The most decisive blow was forcing Japan to sign the Plaza Accord along with France, the UK, and West Germany, the strongest economies at the time. Accordingly, Tokyo's yen, Paris's franc, London's pound, and Germany's mark all rose simultaneously, causing them to lose their advantage in exporting goods at low prices. In contrast, the US dollar depreciated, helping them take the upper hand in exports. Since then, everything quickly became terrible for Japan, as well as for the UK, France, and Germany. As the yen appreciated, their products became more expensive and turned customers away. People could buy similar quality goods at a cheaper price from the US. Thanks to that, Washington's #1 position was not threatened for many decades. However, no one can sit on the throne forever. Currently, the US is being challenged by China, leading to a trade war that has caused heavy damage to both sides. The regrettable thing is that they cannot use tough measures like they did with Japan or European allies, so it is very difficult to stop China. Thank you for watching the video. Please leave your comments and subscribe now to never miss a video, and let's learn together. See you again.